Greetings. I'm your host, Ilene Carol, and you're listening to Unseen to Unstoppable, where we share inspiring journeys from trial to triumph. And today's guest, we're going to do something different. We're going to let her introduce herself because we were talking in the lobby where I just might mispronounce her name, and I don't want to do that. So, Andrea, please say your whole name, first and last name, so we can get the name correct.
Thanks, Ilene. It's Andrea Cameron.
Okay, thank you so much. And what I normally do too is I read like a bio summary. For you, if you want to just tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and then we can kind of jump into some Q&A things that we just said we were going to talk about today.
Right. Yeah. I am the creatress of Fashion Your Life. I'm a product engineer and a budding baby burlesque performer. So I have over 25 years of experience working in fashion, and my journey with that has been trying to fit in, and that didn't really work out so well. So it was a box, wasn't made for me, and I find a lot of people have that same experience. So that's where Fashion Your Life was born, from that desire to help people really show up as themselves. And yeah, happy to be here. So thank you.
Happy to have you. We've interacted since I believe 2020, and I enjoyed our interaction. I instantly fell in love with you and your energy, and so I'm so glad that here it is.
Likewise.
I know. So here it is, 2025, 5 years later, and I had all these big hopes to come see you. We were, even talking about meeting in New York and everything.
That could still happen.
No, I know. That's what I want to say to you. I want it to still happen. I said this to somebody else that was like, that's why I don't do a whole lot of talking. I think I developed the talkative spirit when my mom got sick because I was like, if I don't talk, I'm not going to learn anything. I'm not, if I don't say what's going on, that kind of thing. So that did happen. But what I'm saying is, usually I've chosen only to say things because when I do say something, I mean it. And so the fact that I've said this, it may take me 5 years. But I do want to take either a trip to Canada or revisit New York. New York is where I got my start of my business. And I ended up closing that up when my father got ALS. I didn't want to do the whole traveling from where I am now to New York. But I do, in my heart of hearts. So just know that I do want to come and see you and see what kind of magic you and I can create together, two creatives in a room.
Wonderful. I'm very similar in that, I'll say, yeah, totally. I want, whether it's New York or here or elsewhere, when I want to do something, I'm all in, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do it tomorrow.
Exactly. But you notice that people, when you say things, they hold you to it like it's supposed to happen tomorrow.
Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, things can take time.
They do. Even with texting, there's some people don't understand that. That's why I like to text, because then I can leave it there. You respond when you want to. But there's some people that treat it like it's a conversation and they get a little attitude when you don't respond right away.
We have way too much access to each other, and I'm very aware of this because I can have 12 conversations going on at once. And sometimes I can message people multiple times before they message me back. And I literally tell them, I'm like, I know, it's okay. You don't have to respond right away.
But they do. They feel that way. I don't know why we're like that, but that's why I'm glad that you and I are very similar in that way. So let's start with the unexpected. What led you back to the fashion industry after stepping away, and how has your return? How has that shifted your perspective?
Yeah, love this question. So my business, I tell my story. I've told my story about why I left the industry, and my business is partly to give a bit of an antidote to how the industry works. So I wasn't going to go back for just anything because I didn't want to be in contradiction. But a big part of why I left the industry was I felt overlooked. And when I came back, it really just helped me realize that I am an expert in my field. And it made it easier for me to just do what I do best and not worry about the rest. So when the opportunity came to me, I knew I would. I thought about going back, but I knew it would have to be the right opportunity. I wasn't just going to jump into anything. So when it came to me, I took the time to really settle in and pay attention to see if it was what I wanted. And so I started taking steps towards a yes slowly, and then it just became more and more aligned. So it I've been back a year and a half now, and am fortunate, or I guess enough, to be the first technical person to join the product team. I'm working with Lyft on Friday, and it's just, I have such an amazing team, and we make such incredible product. And while there's still very much quote unquote traditional ways of working in the industry, that the team and the product is what makes the difference, because it is actually one of the most sustainable brands I know. We don't toot our horn about it. It's very under the radar, but we make product that lasts. We make product you can wear multiple ways, so it's aligned in that way. And, it's finding my area of expertise and being able to do that, working with great product. And then there's always room in the market for great product made with intention, and that's what we do. So it's aligned in all of those ways. And I'm not, as much as sustainability is one of my focuses in my business, it's not like I'm going to come up to you and say, you have to buy everything from a fully sustainable brand. Sustainability is holistic. So it looks like being able to buy what you can buy from where you can buy it, regardless, and wearing it.
Huh?
Right? If you don't wear it, doesn't matter. It's not sustainable.
I think the first time I maybe paid attention to that word sustainable was with Nigel Barker
Mm-hmm.
doing his interview and some of the other things that his initiatives that he does. So if you're not familiar with his story and how he works, that might be something you might want to check into, because
Mm-hmm.
he's very much into all of that. And I never thought about it before. And I don't know if it's just me just taking things for granted, but
Yeah.
so here's another term I may need help pronouncing. Is it creatress? Trust?
Creatress, you got it.
Okay. All right. So you describe yourself as that. So what does that title mean to you, and how do you embody it daily?
Right. This one's super simple. I'm always creating. So for me, it's just a way of being. I am equally as technical, and that balance is just how I operate with what I do. I believe this may be a bold statement, but I do believe my purpose in life is to be a part of changing the way the world works. And we need creativity and fresh perspectives to do that.
It was so funny. You keep like taking the words out of my head. Are you inside my head? Because I was gonna say the same thing. I was like, is she right and left brained? Because I am too. And I find myself, this is gonna sound terrible for people listening to the video, like, oh, Ilene, she's fake. I get bored so easily because of that.
Yes, I do too. That was actually a big part of when I worked in the industry previous. I got bored so easily that I would get moved around a lot. And that was actually really frustrating for me, but at the same time, a compliment, because it's like, oh, yeah, okay, I learned this quickly and I can do that thing, no problem. But finding something that fits that balance, because being creative and being technical, it's really important.
It is. It is. So I've always envied people who work for corporations. They'll be with them for 15 years or what have you. And I'm thinking, wow, because I think when I was working for corporations, I think it was like a 2-year stint.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that was my limit. Within 2 years, I learned everything there was
Mm-hmm.
about that company, brand, corporation, what have you,
Yeah.
ins and outs. And then you have the higher ups coming to you to solve
Mm.
things. And then that was irritating to me, because it's like they're getting the big bucks, but they're
Yeah,
coming to you. And then
exactly.
there's no room for growth. And so I found myself, when I look back on my resume, it's like I'd stay somewhere for 2 years and then move on.
Mm-hmm. One of my biggest challenges was the higher ups having an open conversation to hear my ideas, and then 1 week to 3 months to six, whatever later, on hearing that idea being presented as their own. And I'm like, well, at least I planted the seed, right? But it gets frustrating when it happens over and over and over again.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. Exactly. And you want to go ahead. I'm sorry.
I make a real point of, even if somebody just reminds me of something, or identifies a gap in something, but especially when they share a new idea, I make sure that if I'm going to repeat that, I attach their name to it. So if I'm in
Exactly.
an,
Give credit.
mm-hmm, yeah,
Right.
it's so simple.
And I was going to touch on that, and then I
Mhm.
interrupted rudely. I'm sorry, but I
No,
was
all
going to
good.
say that you want to be a team player. You don't want to make your higher up look bad. But
Uh-huh.
like you said, if it keeps on happening, now you're working for them and you gave them an idea and then they presented the idea, and so essentially they're taking credit for it. And so like, corporations sometimes expect you to be that team player, whatever. But like, again, I agree with you. I mean, I'm sort of on the fence with that because I mean, you don't want it to be where it depends on what it is, but you don't want it to be an everyday thing where then it's pretty obvious that they're taking you and your ideas to make themselves look good, and for whoever's paying their paycheck to justify paying them that paycheck.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel the pressure to perform, whereas I just look at us as being equals and we're all in it together.
Right. Right. So let me go back here to fashion. Your life was born from a desire
Mm.
for authentic self expression. And you may have touched on this, but maybe you can elaborate on that realization for you and your wardrobe when you realized it was a form of personal liberation.
Yes, so like a lot of people in grade school was brutal for me. I I used my wardrobe and my creative and my sewing skills to create unique pieces. And so I didn't have a lot of access to things. I got, pieces from my grandmother's closet, the local church basement, garbage bags of clothes handed down to me, you name it. And because I didn't identify with many of the people around me, so I didn't want to look like everyone else. And clothing was something I had to wear every day. So I really just put all those things together and I was like, okay, I'm going to get creative and I'm going to express myself through my clothes. And honestly, the reason why I went to school every day is because I got to play dress up. School was boring.
That's right. That's right. That's right. We have that in common. School was boring.
Yeah. I
School was
mean,
boring.
yeah, okay, I can learn that, but like, what's the point? And I did learn it, but.
And so for your clients, what do you find, what's most common with them? What boxes are they putting themselves in? What boxes are they trapped in when you
Mhm,
work with your
mhm.
clients?
Yeah, it's really the perceptions of who they think they should be based on what the world has told them. And the specific box is really different for everybody. It's really, really about the perception, and it comes from the external world versus looking within. So I like to show them their style from a more holistic lens and how it can be easy because it matches who they are at their core. It's not style and fashion doesn't have to be this big thing. A lot of people get intimidated by it because it's a whole world. I mean, it's an industry. It wasn't built ethically or sustainably. It has been changing slowly because it is a big industry, but it is. I call it a behemoth because it is huge and it has a big impact. So people tend to look at fashion and think of it as outside of them, when really to fashion something is to find your own way, your own style, your own style, and lead from your own perception of who you know you are versus who you think you should be.
Wow. I don't know if I knew that clothes, but I guess so. I guess you're just saying it differently. I keep telling different ones depending on who's around me
Mm.
that, well, there's so much debate about who you are and how you look. And some people feel like it's a statement of a statement if they don't care how they look because then they feel like they're not conforming.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Fair.
and I
Yeah,
remember,
totally.
well, I don't know. And my designer and I, my lead designer, we've had these conversations. In fact, we were like two little girls giggling over your new profession, by the way. We'll have to get into that. She was like, Ilene, I love these conversations. But anyway, you know,
Yeah.
you just don't know what to say or do because you're not trying to make somebody, be somebody else or whatever. But
Mhm.
I've always been trying to find words because I don't want it to come off like that. But one of the examples was my son was 16 and got a speeding ticket
Mm.
well, you probably know this because I know you're this kind of person, but as a person of color, you're always worried about stuff like that when the police stop
Yeah,
you, and
100%.
they always want to make an example out of you, especially young
Mhm.
black men, right? And so, my husband and I were like, we're going to, um, he put on the suit. We told our son to put on the suit. I didn't have on a suit. I had on a blue dress, two-piece blue dress. We get there, the officer, he was just so adamant about how the judge, right? I mean, but you can try, you can ask him to dismiss blah 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 whatever, but he's not going to because and your son's guilty. He just had the whole kind of sorry. And I'm not
Yeah.
making fun. I'm just saying that
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
an animator. I'm the youngest of four. I told somebody I'm youngest of four, and so I'm sorry. It's the animation comes with it because you gotta think about things to be seen and heard because
Yeah,
you're
totally.
invisible. So anyway, so we go into the courtroom and I hope I'm not stepping on any toes, but I'm sorry. I mean, I know we have the little jean cut off shorts or whatever, but there's a place where I just can't stand it. Just look when people have them on, it just look my mom used to tell me, they look funky, they look funky shorts. Seriously, called funky shorts.
Funky.
Funky short, but anyway, so and when I'm in there walking around, looking around, and I'm thinking about her, and I'm like, oh my God, if she was only here. And everybody looked like that, and it's court. And
Wow.
so the judge comes in and everything, and he's going through whoever, then he calls us, and all three of us stand up. He takes one look at us and says, then he turns to our son and says, you know what? He said, I'm dismissing this because your parents could do more to you than I could.
But
And of course,
yeah.
whip the head around over the officer.
Mhm.
He's red in the face and everything. He couldn't
Mhm.
believe it.
Good. Good. Maybe he learned something that day.
But so and I have so many examples like that. But maybe at some point you can help me articulate it better because I'm not trying to make
Yeah.
people feel like they have to conform or whatever. But in my line of work, I try to tell people I'm an advertiser marketing. And
Yes,
so when I go to meet somebody, I dress to the nine, is the old expression. My old women
totally.
in my family, I dress.
Yeah, so clothing is a communication tool. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
So dress for the role you want, dress for how you want to feel, dress for the room you're going into, dress for the occasion. All
Okay.
these things. It's a communication tool. So if you're going into a room and let's say you have to you're doing a speaking gig and it's a new group of people that you don't know that well. So maybe you're feeling a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, and you're just like, okay, I hope I don't mess this up. And maybe you're changing your speech or you're doing a new speech or something like that or a new presentation. And so clothing can be super, super valuable in these situations, and you can use it to convey certain pieces of your message, but you can also use it as a conversation starter so that when you walk into the room, it gives people something to like, hey, wow, that's really cool. Oh, wow, you look so bright and bold, or whatever it is. It's a communication tool, period.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We're going to have a whole new episode on just that because now I want to get into this new profession of yours, this burlesque. You know,
Oh,
I got a little blush when I had to look it up and read the definition. I was like, whoo.
mm-hmm.
In fact, can you just keep it a little less hot because I'm menopausal. I'm already on fire. So can you just kind of.
I'll do my best, Eileen.
So tell me about this. Let's talk about it.
My goodness. Okay. I love it so much. Just a tiny bit of backstory. Like I've tried so many different forms of self-expression over the years, and this is the first thing that I've actually felt the drive and the passion just to keep going. I just want to learn more and do better. And that's a first for me. And, I'm in my mid 40s. It's taken me a long time to get there. It combines a lot of the things I love. I get to do costumes. I get to play with themes. I get to enjoy music, I get to perform, and I get to feel empowered. So burlesque, the roots are it's mocking. It's a mockery. It's making a mockery. It's what poor people did to mock rich people way back when. And it's
Mm-hmm.
evolved over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, my current instructor, she's like, it's sex work. Like, you're getting people turned on. So it's, maybe I don't like saying lowest, but like it's, entry level sex work because we are taking our clothes off. We don't get completely naked, but we are stripping, and it's the art of the tease, and it's supposed to make people feel a certain way. So for me, it's very empowering because it gives me a space to express pieces of myself that I might not otherwise express. And it allows me to tap into that inner fire in a way that I know is this. So I have an Aries moon, which is very fire.
Look, don't try to blame it on something else. Just you know what? Look. I'm gonna call you to the carpet. You said it was empowering, so just admit
It is
this is in you.
empowering.
This is in you,
That's
and
what
you
I'm
and
saying. That's what I'm saying. It's so Aries, your moon sign is your internal world.
I'm teasing. I know all about the Aries. I'm the opposite of the Aries.
Hmm.
We're on the opposite of the polars, whatever you call it.
Nice. Yeah, no, I love it. So it is a way for me to embrace more of myself, more of my body as I age, especially tapping into my inner wisdom and my strength, and just helping me be more connected to my body as well, and more in the present moment. All of those things, no big deal.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Okay, now I heard something in there. I heard that it
Mm.
took you a minute. So my next question is, tell me about the fear, the hesitation about stepping on a stage in that such a bold aspect, the taking up the clothes and things like that. What did you have to do to kind of push through all that and get you to, you've got a coach. I heard you say that, so that's probably helping. But tell us about that, because a lot of us women, I'm sitting here teasing you, but we shy away from things. We need to step in our power.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said it. You're like, I'm sitting. You're teasing me, and that is literally burlesque is all about the tease, and it's a fun space to be in. So the hesitation or the fear that's there, oddly, like okay, so yes, and practice. You just gotta practice and feel like you're in a good space to present what you're putting together. But oddly, aside from a few butterflies when my first show started, I don't really get that nervous or
Hmm.
fearful. I
Okay.
started I actually started to wonder if I should feel more fear because most people do. Like, I'm backstage and they're all like shaking it out and like, oh, and how's this look? And they're checking it. And I'm like, even after years of performing, that's totally normal. That's like expected. So I had to be like, am I normal? What's going on with me?
Nothing.
So
Nothing.
thankfully, right? And so one of my fellow dancers, they told me that they don't get it either. So I felt better about it. Now I can just relax and take it all in.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You felt like you should have felt that way that that was from maybe from the, I don't want to say embarrassment, but I guess from the shyness of it all, I guess.
Yeah.
Your subconscious was telling you that you should have felt that way when in essence,
Yes.
right, right,
That
right.
that that yeah, nailed it. Exactly.
Well, let me fan a little bit. Okay, now the word authenticity, because now I'm listening to you. You've done all these things,
Mm,
these creative outlets.
hmm
What does that word mean to you, and how has the definition changed over time?
Yeah. Uh, Authenticity is about being true to who you are at any given time. So time is irrelevant. I believe that most people don't actually change that much throughout their life and that we're essentially the same at our core. So we can push pieces of ourselves away. We can evolve beyond old ways of being. Whatever direction we're trying to go, there's always a through thread. And it can be super easy to lose touch with this and succumb to those external pressures of who we think we should be. And when we take the time to actually peel back the layers, we find ourselves again. It can be incredibly liberating. And so, who I am, including my definition of authenticity, that hasn't changed over time. It's more so the impact of the existing circumstances that I'm in that changes how I represent myself over time. But who I am, it doesn't change.
I love that. You've been quoted as saying, how we do one thing is how we do everything.
Yeah.
So, how has that belief shaped your daily relationships and business? How we do one thing is how we do everything.
Super simple. Everyone has a through line, a core being that represents who they are. And that through line is what drives us in life in one way or another.
Gosh, I just love this podcast with you. I mean, it's just so refreshing. I feel
Thank
so
you.
rejuvenated because I told you in the lobby I was having a day,
Yeah.
and you instead of the other advice I got to do breathing exercises, I'm going to
Oh,
call
goodness.
you.
Yeah, it was divine timing. That's all.
Okay, client transformation time. What's one powerful story or transformation from a client that
Mm-hmm.
stays with you?
Yeah, so this actually goes like to before I started Fashion Your Life, and because I say I've been sewing since I was old enough to hold a needle, shopping since I was old enough to walk. Literally, my mom used to have to send my uncle downtown. It was a tiny little street in our small town to find me after school, and he would find me peering into the windows of the shops, shopping literally. And so anyway,
She says so anyway.
anyway, it's been a lifelong thing. So same thing with how transformation from a client, the one that really sticks with me, because in between being 5 years old and walking around downtown after school getting lost, and doing what I do now, I helped friends and families clean out their closets because I just love doing it. And when I was living in Vancouver, I had a friend who would tell me about her absolute mess of the closet and how she was literally drowning in clothes. And she knew she needed to get rid of a lot of things, but also had a lot of sentimental value with a lot of her items. And I was just like, I want to help. I want to help. And I don't recall if she asked me to help her first or if I offered, but either way, I ended up at her place and literally was sorting through the most gigantic pile of clothing I have ever worked through in my entire life. And we had so much fun. She was and still is such a delightful person and a friend of mine. And I was just able to find her clarity, help her feel more at ease with her wardrobe. And I will never forget that experience because it was literally, I think it was probably the first time that I said, I could do this for a living. And she was like, you should do this for a living. And I'm like, it was probably the first time that I'd ever really thought that.
That's an amazing experience. I was telling somebody, I guess the better businesses or jobs are the ones that are about finding something that you absolutely love too.
Yeah. And we were in her apartment and like had terrible overhead lighting, it was this big empty room literally filled with clothes.
Look at you giggling about this.
Well,
The whole memory coming back to you has got you all flushed.
such a visual, such a feeling, like everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can
That's it.
tell. I can tell.
Key
So,
moments.
so some of the things that I've been through, and so I feel like I should have this little tagline, "Comeback Queen" or something.
Yeah.
But I developed the I'm going to give it a name. It's the fall down 6, get up 7 mentality.
Okay.
Because you can fall down.
Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah. It is life. I think a
But you
lot of
want to get
people
back
don't
up.
realize that. Yeah.
And it's okay to just stay there and be like, I'm hurt. I don't want to get up right now.
Yeah. Stay there for a while, revel in it, roll around. That's okay.
But eventually get back up.
Yes. And
So
learn something.
right. And so there's few people out there that like know a lot of my story. And they're like, oh my God, you should write a book, because it's just so many things that I've been through. And I had to get back up. I had to do it. I had to do it. And so I'm listening to you and reflecting of reading your bio, what are some challenges that you may have experienced with picking up the pieces and having to rebuild after pausing?
Hmm. Yeah. It takes one of the things that people have reflected back to me time and time again is how strong I am. And it took me a long time to admit that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm freaking strong. Okay, I get it now. And part of that, yeah, is just because I do keep getting up again. And that's what you have to do. And that is life.
It is. It's life. It's life.
I think the most challenging part of it for me is energy and keeping my energy up while working a full time job, but also maintaining, protecting my energy, taking care of myself. I still struggle with food and sleep are basics for the body, and I still am like, my body is like, Andrea, I'm like, okay, 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 but just this one more thing, because I wouldn't say I'm not toxic productive, but I am very productive. And so it's really just honoring my body and paying attention to that balance. So often people are like, oh, what did you do on the weekend? How was your weekend? And I'm like, it was lazy and productive because I got a lot done, but I also took like long spans of time where I did absolutely nothing,
I see. Okay.
you know?
Okay.
So it's like honoring that in the moment and just being like, your body's telling you something. Listen.
Speaking of which, I hope this software isn't picking up my stomach because my stomach is saying you didn't put any food in it today.
You're hungry.
Okay. It's 1 o'clock. And
Oh,
either this is dedication or stupidity because I told you I haven't showered, I haven't eaten.
oh. But Ilene, breathe.
Be our little secret.
Just breathe. I love you.
Okay, because the name of this podcast is Unseen to Unstoppable, I try to ask two last questions. One is,
Mhm,
if someone is listening feels disconnected from their body, identity, or voice,
mhm.
what's the first small thing you suggest that they do to begin like fashioning a life that feels like their own?
Yeah, listen to your inner voice. Let it be your North Star. Let it guide you into taking aligned actions. And it's so much easier said than done. It literally took me years to even tap into it and start practicing. It truly is a lifelong journey. There's so many barriers along the way. There's layers to remove, there's pieces to let go of. Just know that because even when you expect it, when you come across it, it's real hard.
Huh?
Just be prepared. It's self-actualization, and it's not for the faint of heart, but it is also truly what I wish for
Absolutely. And so finally, what is your favorite quote and how does this fit into where you're at right now? Or what does it
everyone.
mean
Yeah.
for you now?
My favorite quote, it might be the only quote that has ever truly stuck with me, is from the movie Me, Myself, and Irene, and Jim Carrey's character. That movie made me laugh so much. I have to watch it again to see if it's still funny. I have no idea if it's aged well. Sorry, I've only watched it once.
Yes.
But the quote is, just because I rock doesn't mean I'm made of stone. And it just stays with me. And one of the most important parts to living authentic is to be able to practice vulnerability. And that's not easy. So, you can be out here rocking an authentic life and still at times feel like a feather floating through it.
Right, right. And we all experience it, I think, from time to time. And some of us are just dealing with it better than others.
Yeah. Or we look like we're dealing with it.
Exactly, exactly. I think I've mastered the fake.
Mm, fake it till you make it. I mean, it's popular for a reason. It works for a reason, and I'm not saying be fake, but sometimes literally to push through something or to let go of something and to take aligned action, it will feel fake because you are literally trying something new on. So it can feel fake to you in the action taking, but you just gotta keep doing it because you know deep down that it makes sense.
Right, absolutely. So tell everyone that's listening how they can connect with you.
Yeah, for sure. My website's fashionyourlife.ca because I'm Canadian. And my Instagram's fashionyourlifeofficial. Those are the two main places.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for spending the time. It took us a long time to get our schedules to do this, and I'm so glad that we
Got
both were
there.
able to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you for being flexible because I don't know if there's a time zone. Is there a time zone?
Yeah, it's 10 for me right now, so we're 3
Wow,
hours.
wow, wow. So gratitude, hashtag gratitude. I'm so glad and I'm thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Eileen.
And I want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast today. And of course, we want to thank her for sharing her journey. So go check out her links. And if you find that you too, need to look at your fashion and see how that relates to your personality, by all means do it. I'm personally recommending her. So please do that. And don't forget to like, share, download this podcast. And once again, I'm Ilene Carol, and you've been listening to Unseen to Unstoppable.